Australia, The Great Gatsby, and now maybe even an Oscar for his new film Elvis, the biopic. Baz Luhrmann is a hunker of burning love.
Get a haircut, buttercup!
In that moment, I watched that skinny boy transform into a superhero.
Oh,
doesn't it just make you want to move?
just on fire. Baz Luhrmann joins us now. Big round of applause from Australia to Baz.
Hey!
Oh my goodness, it's good to talk
himself. To you. Look at you.
Hi guys, how are you?
Look, I have watched it 100 times.
Yes.
I am a full bottle for this film. I want to ask, I mean, how did you reimagine the King to capture that feeling that he had?
I didn't do it. I tell you who did it. Was the miracle that is Austin Butler. I mean, really, honestly, I've been around a while. I've worked with all sorts of actors. When Denzel Washington rang me and said, there's a young man going to walk into your space and his work ethic is like no other, right? He was not wrong. And, you know, you guys remember when Tom was rehearsing the day before we started shooting and moving Austin through the crowd, and the first AD comes over and says, I think Tom has that cold thing.
Yeah.
And then we shut down, and then the movie lost.
Right.
Austin would not leave Australia. He said, I am not leaving. I am going to double down on my work. I'm going to continue it. And he's literally willed the movie back into life.
Wow.
So for the rest of my career, and I know I speak for CM and the whole cast and crew, we are indebted to that young performer for his unbelievable devotion to revealing not just, you know, the moves and the grooves, but the soul of Elvis.
And it's such an important role for him in his career as well. I mean, Austin Butler's, I think, 31. He's just seemingly shot to superstardom overnight. I mean, there is a real parallel there, isn't there, with Elvis's own journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many. Look, I can say it now because one used to keep away from it, but one of his connections to the role is that he lost his mum at exactly the same age as Elvis. And I think some of that is fed in because I think what we see is an amazing execution of all the things you can see on YouTube about how Elvis moves and sings and dances. He does sing the first half of the movie, but what you really see is also the soul of Elvis, and that's also the soul of Austin. You see his inner life, and that's acting. That's acting, and that's human.
Do you know, Baz, again, I don't want to say how many times I've watched it, but there are a couple of scenes that I've watched a million times. And this one in particular, I mean, you're selling yourself a little bit short. I mean, you've captured the feeling of something that happened more than half a century ago in a little country town. This is the moment, I reckon, that you've managed to sum up where the magic really began for Elvis. Have a look.
Flesh, blood, bone. But if you're gonna start a rumor, don't try. My is misery. So don't you mess around with me.
All right, that's not quite the right one. It was the one earlier in the film when he came out for the first time, and you had people in the crowd just stepping forward and going, "Oh my God!" I mean, that's that heat that came and went through everyone at the time.
Yeah, you know, Karl. It's interesting you bring that up, is because this is all real. Like that actually happened. It didn't happen at that particular hall because I had the compressed time, but he really did go. What are they screaming at? And there was no precedent for that before Elvis. There was no precedent for it's not just girls screaming or maybe some guys screaming. It's actually them having an out-of-body experience. When that older woman stands up, that's actually happened. It was an older woman who was she was the assistant to Sam, who ran the record label. And she said, I was there at the concert and I was telling these girls to shush, stop screaming. And then an older woman suddenly was screaming and I realized it was me. And so people have this out-of-body experience that he engenders. And I think it has a lot to do with him growing up in gospel and spiritual and things like that.
Let's just have. Can we just pause here and have a look at this, Baz?
Transform into a superhero.
It's so good.
Isn't it, Jeff?
It's so good. Baz, the other one I wanted to ask you about, again, is at the end of... Because I've watched the original Elvis in that last performance in Vegas. I've watched it on YouTube 1,000 times because it's not just...
He is obsessed.
I am obsessed, but that was Elvis at his worst and still able to perform.
Yeah.
And you managed to do this with this clip, and we'll come back to you in a second.
Lonely rivers cry, wait for me, wait for me. I'll be coming home, wait for me. I hunger for your
You still get goosebumps listening to that, don't you? My goodness.
So he somehow becomes the actor becomes the real person. At some point, I still can't quite pick it.
Yeah.
I mean, that scene.
Now, can I say something?
Yeah.
I'm really, really glad you played that because, honestly, there was a time when we thought we wouldn't be able to use the real footage. And so I said, well, let's see if Austin can do it. And everything up to that moment is Austin. Everyone on stage we created. But then my brilliant, brilliant editorial team, Matt Villa, Jono Redman, they were doing it. And I said, well, at the end, you know, there's that trope where you have to show the real person. You know, people like to see. And they, just right in the middle of it, said, what if we did this? And I cannot tell you how many times a day, as I go around the awards circuit, if someone grabs me, and they don't just say the emotion, they say, I have some sort of spiritual reaction to that moment. And they don't quite know what it is. And it's something about not just, oh my God, he's real. It's something to do with like just the sadness and the beauty and the humanity of it. There's something that it does to audiences, and even I can't explain it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, I think, Baz, watching your films, you know, whether it is Elvis or Moulin Rouge or Australia, even back in Romeo and Juliet, it's such a visual spectacle. It's so much to absorb and so much to look at. You don't want to look away. And every detail is perfection. Obviously, you work so closely with your wife, Catherine, and she's up for another 3 Oscars. I mean, she is a force.
Well, let me tell you, hot headline. Last night in her guild, which is like so important, she won for best costumes for Elvis. I'm so proud of her, but she's so proud of the team she has built in Australia. She's methodically made sure that she's building a team where the costuming is can be like better than the best in the world. And she's very focused on young people learning these techniques. She's an incredible human being. I love her to death, of course, but last night it was a lot of emotion because, by the way, it's no shoe-in. Like the Oscar season, there's brilliant films out there. Like there's some amazing movies and great. We're all friends, you know. And you know, winning in the end is good. But what's really important is we all get together and get inspired by each other. That's what's really.
Your energy for this is unbelievable. It cannot be questioned. And when the film even, you know, went to the cinemas and beyond, and still now you're campaigning for Austin, will he take home that
golden statue?
You know what? Can I tell you something? It's going to be like he won the BAFTA. He won the Golden Globe, but it's going to be very hard because there's several brilliant performances out there. They're older actors, and there's all of that. Let me tell you, Leonardo DiCaprio, who I've known, as you would know, since he was very young, he did many great performances for which maybe he wasn't given an accolade, and there's always a bit of an attitude about that. And you know what? That's not what's important. When he walks away today, if he never went near the Oscars, not only has he won those awards, what he's really done, he's brought Elvis Presley back to life. And that will never go away.
That's a legacy.
Globally, we have more 16 and 17-year-olds who are fans of Elvis through Austin. Like, it's It's a remarkable achievement.
Well, you have brought Elvis
Yeah.
back to life in every sense, and I marvel at your skill and your passion, your devotion to it. I'm completely fangirling over you because you deserve it, Baz.
No one does it like you, Baz.
It's incredible, man. It's incredible what you've done.
Well, Karl, thanks for seeing it 10 times. We needed the ticket sales. So
Also, I did direct message you on Insta.
Yes, the number of times we've been told, Baz, you've been snubbing him. He's not happy about it.
Oscar snub. Thanks, Baz. Go well. Best of luck at the Oscars.
All right, guys.
Your whole country
Love it.
behind you. As we take a break, let's...
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my goodness, Karl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Karl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?